Catholics, you know we love our saints, but sometimes it's a little more folklore than anything else. And that's unfortunately the case with Saint Valentine. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and today I want to talk to you about Saint Valentine. So what do we know about Saint Valentine? Not that much, right? So I've just been going through a bunch of YouTube videos, reading some news articles and everything about the origins of Valentine's Day. And it's just a little weird because we don't know that much. But what we do know is that everything we know is kind of based on folklore, which is just kind of crazy to me because we have a skull in Italy in a basilica that we venerate as Saint Valentine and we bring flowers to. When I say we, I mean, Catholics in general bring flowers to and all that stuff on the feast day of Saint Valentine. However, St. Valentine's feast day has been removed from the liturgical calendar because there was just not enough concrete evidence for him. Let's just go over, I took a bunch of notes. We're gonna go over basically what we as Catholics know about St. Valentine. Starting off, there were 3 Valentines who were either bishops or priests. 2 were martyred in modern day Europe. 1 was martyred in modern day Africa. Another thing we know is the name Valentine was extremely popular in the Roman Empire in the early centuries, right? So it was basically the equivalent of like John. In the year 1303, Christians were wildly persecuted under the emperor, which may be why we don't have a lot of evidence about Saint Valentine, is maybe those records were probably destroyed, which left us to have oral history essentially for figuring out who Valentine was. The best possible candidate for who Saint Valentine was martyred in the year 269 AD. And that's the one who was a priest in Rome, and you can see his skull on display. The soldiers were not allowed to get married, right? Because then they could just be fully devoted to the Roman Empire. They didn't have a wife, they didn't have children, they didn't have anything to worry about. They were fully devoted to the Roman Empire. So someone like Saint Valentine, the priest, would go around and marry these soldiers so that they could be married. And of course he did it in secret. And then of course somebody found out and he was arrested. It wasn't until the 13th century that the story came around that Valentine actually, when he was imprisoned, befriended his jailer who had a blind daughter, and they wrote notes to each other, and somehow she was cured, and one of the notes was signed "Your Valentine." So that's how theoretically the tradition of sending notes and letters on Valentine's Day was established. Of course, this would have been a platonic relationship, and after she was healed, and I assume he was beheaded or martyred, the jailer's daughter planted an almond tree, which was a sign of love and respect. And this is where it gets kind of weird, is somehow St. Valentine's Day redeemed a pagan holiday in which, this was obviously probably before, this was before like Jesus' time, this was all pagan weird stuff where men would grab pieces of meat and hit women in the streets. I've seen this is just so flippin' weird, to inspire fertility, that they would become fertile that year and blah, 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 blah. Which, by the way, so many people talk about how nowadays women are struggling so much with fertility. Obviously, women have been struggling with fertility for thousands of years if there were certain fertility rituals going on thousands of years ago before Jesus. This is just so crazy to me that if you go to church in a Protestant church and you have mass, not mass because it's Protestant, if you have a service that lands on a Sunday and you go to church on that Sunday and it's Valentine's Day, the priest or the pastor, whatever they call them, will probably have a reading from the gospel about something about love, right? Whereas Catholics, we will just have whatever gospel is supposed to be read that day, whatever readings are supposed to be read that day, because we are on a strict schedule as Catholics. It's just interesting to me that we as Catholics we don't really recognize Saint Valentine anymore, and for good reason. We don't have enough evidence on him, and there's nothing we can do about it. That's just how it is. There's so many amazing saints that have been lost to history due to evidence being destroyed and everything like that. If you are like me and you live in the United States, yes, I feel like sometimes I am persecuted for my beliefs because people think I'm crazy and all that stuff for holding on to my traditional values. I'm not martyred, I'm not threatened. My life never has been threatened for being a Catholic, whereas these early martyrs who we don't know very much about, like Saint Valentine, how scary must it have been to just marry these people? and then he gets killed for it. He gets imprisoned and killed, and probably, I mean, God, it was by these Roman pagans. He probably was tortured as well. It's just crazy to me that the strength and the courage that these early saints have, and how many of them have just been lost to history is so sad and so terrible. By the way, do you guys like my lion poster? Yay! I love this poster. I think it's so much fun. I love animals wearing hats and crowns. I always talk about that in my Instagram page, how all my artwork and all my animals in my apartment have hats and crowns on. He's wearing a Bavarian hat. I love it. Wanted to shoot from this angle today. I thought it would be fun to shoot from a different angle, so hope you guys enjoy it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss one of my videos. Let me know in the comments below if you know about any other saints like Saint Valentine, or you know anything else about him. I don't know. This is all the research I could find on him. And yeah, please, please, please subscribe. That really, really helps out the algorithm, helps out my channel, and I love making these videos, so when you subscribe, it helps me out, helps me, give me courage to keep making these videos, and I just love you guys, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!